Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier and have a balanced lifestyle. Our first guest today is Lifestyle GP Dr. Avi Charlton, and we will be talking about whether a low-carb diet is the key to weight loss. Welcome, Dr. Avi. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Stephanie.
So, have you had your own personal experience with a low-carb diet?
Interesting you say that. About a few years ago, I started my own lifestyle change. I wanted to lose some fat. I joined a gym and I participated in an 8-week body transformation challenge. I just did it for fun. My personal trainer prescribed me a diet. I had to follow a spreadsheet with so much protein, so much fat and so much carbohydrates, and turns out that was a low carb diet. After 8 weeks I lost 4 kilos and I was very happy. That's about the fat that I've wanted to lose, and I was so interested in this diet. I dived into the science, I learned a bit, and as a GP I understand what happened to our body. So I learned a bit more, did lots of courses, and I started to use it on my patients. I started to tell my patients that we need to really cut back on carbohydrates if you want to lose weight. The carbohydrates include the sugar, the processed foods, and also the bread, potato, pasta, lots of processed foods that's got sugar in the ingredients. There's actually so many different names of sugar and the marketing try to hide it. It's 56 names of sugar. So you really have to look at the labels and understand what's in the package. So with the low carb diet, we have to really cut back on the carbohydrates and we have to eat much more of meat, eggs, chicken, fish and pork and lamb and veggies. With the vegetables, we need to concentrate on eating above ground vegetables rather than the starchy potatoes, sweet potatoes and pumpkins, all those starchy vegetables. And if we prioritize eating more protein, adding healthy fat to our diet, that is a really low carb diet. We can include a little bit of fruit, especially the berries are low carb fruit, and really stay away from high sugar fruit. If we eat when we're hungry, reducing the amount of snacks that we eat, that will help us to burn our fat that we don't want, and that will help with losing weight. A standard Australian diet or standard American diet is usually 200 to up to 500 grams of carbohydrates a day, especially when you eat cereal and oats and bread and then desserts and sugar and maybe some snacking on some chocolate. So a low carb diet is usually below 50 to 100 gram a day. And there's also variations called ketogenic diet, which is even less, like less than 20 gram of carbohydrates a day. So going on a low carb diet is dramatically reducing your carbohydrate intake, and we can teach our body to not burn the glucose that we eat, and we can start to burn the fat that we want to get rid of. Quite often doing that, we can reduce our bloating, our bowel gets better, and we can reduce our belly fat. We can feel better, feel more energy and feel more vibrant, and we can deal with our day-to-day stresses better.
So with more meat in the diet, I think we sometimes think there'll be an increase in cholesterol levels. Is that the case?
Yeah, a lot of people are worried about eating too much fat, too much meat will increase your total cholesterol. There's actually new science is saying that it's not just the total cholesterol that is of worry. It's more the triglyceride, which is the other part in the cholesterol profile, and the good cholesterol, which is the HDL. So some people have heard that about the ratio. So the ratio between the triglyceride and the HDL is much more important and informed us the risk of heart disease, cardiovascular risk, rather than the total cholesterol. So there's new science saying that inflammation is important about increasing your risk of heart attacks, and the total cholesterol might not be as important, and the bad cholesterol might not be so important either. So we really should look at the whole profile, the whole person, to assess the risk of heart attacks.
I see. Very interesting. And do you have any advice for our viewers for them to embark on this journey now of a low carb diet? Anything they can start today?
Yeah, absolutely. With changing your lifestyle, changing your diet, it's important for your viewers to follow a program or seek help with a professional that is in tune with dealing with the low carb diet. They can do it gradually, especially with reducing sugar and processed foods. Nobody should be eating too much sugar and processed foods. It's highly inflammatory, it damages your health, and it's highly addictive. So once you start eating a piece of chocolate, you want to eat more chocolate, more sugars. And the next step is eating more protein, more real food, eggs, chicken, fish, meat. And quite often that will improve their health, improve their nutrition. We can add lots of vegetables, above ground vegetables, staying away from too much starchy vegetables. And we can learn to read food labels. Don't eat too much processed foods and chemicals, numbers. And read the really fine prints of the food labels. And doing that, they can follow a program, learn how to improve their life, and quite often losing weight, and people will feel much more energy. They can think better, feel better in themselves, less bloated, reduce the risk of chronic diseases like metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and even Alzheimer's disease, cancer, inflammation, aches and pains. So adopting a low-carb diet can have tremendous health benefits. Now lots of studies showing that is the case.
Wow, it sounds incredible. Thank you for all of that information.
Thank you.
If you would like to learn more about a low-carb diet for weight loss and Dr. Avi Charlton, please visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we will be back with another interesting guest and another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, Breathwork expert and life coach Christine Hart-Savage will be talking about overcoming anxiety. Welcome back, and our next guest is Breathwork and life coach Christine Hart-Savage, and the topic we'll be discussing is overcoming anxiety. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, it's lovely to be here.
Christine, we know a lot of people suffer from anxiety. What is anxiety?
It's an interesting topic, anxiety, because often when you're suffering from anxiety, you don't realise it's anxiety. You just feel not right. And there's a type of fear that comes with anxiety. It depends on how serious it is. Anxiety can be it's like, put it this way, it's like, for me, a river that runs always in the background. And some days that river rises up and becomes really full and powerful, and other times it settles down a bit, but it's always running in the background. It's always this level of discomfort. And in that discomfort is fear, like there's a fear. And when it's really strong, it's terror, it's dread. And that's when I used to think, oh my God, I'd rather die than be experiencing this. It's quite strong. It's a horrible thing, anxiety. It's horrible. So if anyone's really out there suffering from this, there are things you can do. But you know, I think, Megan, the thing that is great these days is there is help out there. There's help everywhere for anxiety, like it's recognised. But when I was first suffering from it, it wasn't recognised. You hid it. It was something that if you were stressed, that was fine. You could have stress. But if you were anxious, you couldn't tell anybody because it was taboo, anxiety. So now it's different. It's like, yes, I have anxiety, and people understand it a lot better. But the symptoms that I had were this feeling of, if you imagine a whole group of butterflies or moths, it's probably more like moths than butterflies, and they're all flapping together and they're all banging into each other in your solar plexus, like your stomach area. And then this fear starts to take you over. And then you start to have thoughts of dread, fearful thoughts, worry thoughts, and you just feel yourself contracting in, and it's really powerful, and it literally takes you over, completely takes you over.
The way you describe it, it sounds like you've experienced it yourself.
Most definitely. I've had really chronic anxiety in my life, and that's what took me into the pathway that I work in. It was through this anxiety. And it can be so incredibly strong that you can start to have panic attacks. And a lot of people do have panic attacks, and mine became so severe that, I don't know if you know the term tetany, but tetany is where your body freezes up, and I would end up laying on the floor going, not able to breathe, and just like I was completely paralysed by the fear of anxiety. And of course, it's a catch-22, because then when I was thinking I was going to do something that brought anxiety to me, or I felt anxiety, like public speaking, I would never in a million years have thought I would be public speaking like I do these days. I couldn't speak up, I couldn't find my voice. So if I had to do something that put me in a situation where I felt fear, then I would have terror of having a panic attack, and that would create the panic attack. So it's a catch-22. You have this panic about panicking, and on it goes. And it's something that is there 24/7, like every single day. It's a horrible thing. I can laugh about it now, but it is a very serious condition, and it can stop people from doing anything. You know, it can keep you at home, too scared to step outside and live your life. And the dreams that we have, that we want to achieve in our lives, it can stop you from even taking one step towards that dream because you freeze up. I can't do this, I can't do this. Maybe people will laugh at me, maybe I'll make a fool of myself. And we can get through that, where these days I think if I make a fool of myself, oh well, it doesn't matter. But I've been on a real journey with this, with anxiety.
Christine, is there anything you would recommend for our viewers to take away from this?
Oh, yes. Firstly, when you're feeling anxious, just take a step back. And again, my favourite thing, the anchor is your breath. Through the nose, always through the nose, in through the nose, out through the nose. Settle yourself. Give yourself permission to step back and just slow down. And it's probably a hard thing to do for people when you're in anxiety, but really look at the thought processes you're going through as well, because your thoughts will be going nuts. They will be telling you every negative thing that could happen. So we need to, when we put it this way, when we breathe, we can slow the thought processes down as well. So again, one of the biggest things I did for anxiety was learn to meditate. And that slows everything down. And when you feel the anxiety building up again, if you didn't do something or have a skill like meditation, you can't bring it back down again. So if you meditate once a day or twice a day, if the anxiety is building and you meditate, it brings it down so that you're balanced again, and then you can go back out into the world. I've got a quick story. Have you got time for a quick story?
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard this or where it came from, but there was this story about this young boy that was born into a family, a large family, and he was chosen to become a monk. And he did not want to be a monk. Anyway, he was taken to this place, and the abbot sat down and spoke to him in this monastery. And he said, "Sit down, my son," and he said, "Okay, I'm sitting down, but I am standing on the inside." And then one day the abbot was out and about, and he happened to notice this young boy walking up the passageway towards him, and he thought, this is this young man. And he stopped and he spoke to him, and he said, "I see you are standing on the outside, but now you are sitting on the inside." That is what meditation can do for you. That's what it's done for me. That's why I love to teach people meditation.
What a fantastic story, Christine. If you'd like to know more about overcoming anxiety and Christine Hart-Savage, go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll have another interesting guest with another interesting topic. Stay tuned. After the break, Naturopath lecturer and author Michèle Wolff will be talking about the importance of the nervous system to the digestive system's health. Welcome back. Our next guest is Michèle Wolff, and she's a naturopath, author and lecturer. And the topic we'll be discussing today is the importance of the nervous system and the digestive system's health. Welcome, Michèle.
Thank you, Megan.
Michèle, what's the difference between the two?
Well, the mind and the nervous system have a big connection. So I'm sure you've experienced the feeling of butterflies when you've been frightened about something. But scientifically, they've now found that not only do we have a brain-gut connection, but also that the gut has its own brain or own nervous system, so to speak. So for an example, it produces serotonin, which is a chemical produced in the brain that helps the nervous system and helps calm the brain. So our lifestyles can have a profound effect on the nervous system, and that has an interaction with the gut. Emotions, they can actually affect the microbiome. So in microbiome tests, which are stool tests, they test over 700 different species now, and there can be an impact on that microbiome through your diet, but there can also be an impact on how you think. So if you're stressed or have an overburden of more negative thoughts, that has an impact on the negative aspects of the microbiome. And also that kind of stress has an impact on your upper digestion, so you won't produce as much pancreatic enzymes from your pancreas or as much hydrochloric acid from your stomach, and the liver's implicated in that as well. So if you're frightened or holding on, it can kind of shrink those digestive chemicals, and it can also have an effect on constipation if you're holding on. Whereas completely different to that, you can have diarrhea if you're very anxious about something, and that can follow the butterfly feeling in the gut. And in your diet, a lot of people have coffee, but if you have a delicate nervous system, when you have a coffee, it will likely make you more anxious, and it will either give you diarrhea or pain in the gut or inflame the gut. The other thing that coffee does is it's a diuretic, which means it makes you pee more, and then that has an effect at moving out magnesium, potassium and calcium, and those are major minerals for your nervous system. So you'll likely become more anxious or more stressed from those coming out. There are also lots of other foods that have an effect on the nervous system and then on the digestion. So any kind of junk food or sugar will make the body more anxious and more depleted, and then have an effect on wiping out your good flora and fauna in the gut, and having a negative effect on that. But if you have whole food, so for example whole grains, legumes, good proteins, lots and lots of plant foods, then you'll get the nutrients for your nervous system. So the main ones being the magnesium, the calcium, the potassium. B vitamins are very important as well. And then the gut will have less effect. Also, if you have long-term worry or you have a very responsible position and you've got things going over and over in your mind a lot, you can develop inflammatory bowel disease. You can also develop inflammatory bowel disease from the wrong food.
Oh, fantastic. Is there any special foods or herbs that can assist with this?
Most people will have heard of chamomile. This is both a relaxant to the gut, and it also has a slight bitter taste, and that anything that's slightly bitter helps you produce more good digestive enzymes and good digestive juices, and it helps you produce more bile, which is necessary for the digestion as well. So ginger's a really good digestive, cardamom, fennel and peppermint. Those are really excellent also for building up the strength of your digestion and to have after food to help you digest that food more easily. So they might stop bloating and wind and make the whole passage of digestion easier. And you can use these spices generally in your food as well. So the more you use digestive spices, cumin is another one, the stronger your digestion will become.
That's great. Do you have any extra tips for our viewers on how to improve their digestive health?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, sit down to eat. I think a lot of us eat on the run, eat in the car, eat standing up. So sit down, chew your food really well, and practice one meal a day where you're actually chewing until the food is a liquid in your mouth, because you've got a lot in your saliva in your mouth that starts the digestion of food. Make sure you're generally well hydrated. Make sure that you don't lie down after eating. This weakens the digestion. So you're best to go for a walk for at least 10 minutes after a meal. Avoid eating late at night. So your digestion is strongest when the sun's highest in the sky. So that's normally between 12 and 2. The other thing is to only eat when you're hungry. So if you're eating and you're not hungry, it means you're still digesting the meal from before. That could be the night before. At the same time, don't let yourself get starving. You know, that can be detrimental to the body as well. We need to be nourished as well as have times of fasting. Just a healthy general plate of food would be half a plate of plant food with lots of green leafy vegetables in there. They stimulate the liver to produce more bile and help digestion. A quarter of a plate of carbohydrates, so within that would be starchy vegetables like sweet potato and pumpkin, or whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, buckwheat. And then about quarter of a plate of protein, whether that's animal protein, vegetarian protein or vegan protein. And within that about 20% of good healthy fats. They are very important for your nervous system. And fluid is best to have warm for your gut, so that absorbs more. And you need to have enough for your height and weight. So if you times your weight by 33, so say if you're 60 kilograms and you times that by 33, you'll get the amount of mils, so it might be 2,000 mils, which is 2 litres, that you should have a day. And it's important to drink systematically.
Thanks for such valuable information, Michèle. If you'd like to know more about the importance of the nervous system and the digestive system's health and Michèle Wolff, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. That's all for us from today. Bye-bye until next time. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel.